Next tonight, a Labour councillor in Bradford says he's quit the party because of its stance on the conflict between Israel and Gaza, which has escalated into a humanitarian crisis after Hamas's raid into Israel last October.
Taj Salam spent 20 years as a Labour councillor and 30 as a Labour campaigner. But he's one of a number in Yorkshire who say they can't continue because he claims the party isn't doing enough to speak up about those being killed in Gaza.
Our political correspondent Charanpreet Kaira went to meet him.
Taj Salam has been pounding pavements in Little Horton for 20 years as a Labour councillor. With the local elections coming up, he's back knocking on doors. But this year, there's a difference.
Because I've actually now stepped down from the Labour Party, you know what I mean?
Taj says the decision to sit as an independent comes down to Labour's stance on the conflict in Gaza.
Israel does have a right to defend itself, but not to the context that they've gone to, where 30,000 people have lost their lives.
And what was the moment that you decided to quit?
The LBC interview of our leader.
Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself.
A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water, secure.
Well, I think that Israel does have that right.
For some, this proved a defining moment, distilling what they saw as a disregard for Palestinian lives. The Labour leader later clarified his words only referred to the broad policy of self-defence and that food, water and electricity must be allowed in. Despite that, Taj has redefined his life's work, but he says his community still supports him.
So we're asking for your support?
100%. Not just because of what's going on in the Middle East. It's because they haven't done nothing for us.
Do you know what you would do when it comes to the general elections?
I want what? I wouldn't.
A few councillors and a few wards in Bradford. Some would say that won't make much difference in Westminster, especially with the polls predicting a Labour landslide. But what if this goes even further? At the Emporium Snooker Lounge in Batley, I've come to talk to first-time voters like Shazeb about whether they'd vote red or blue.
People who haven't had anything to do with it, they've never heard about it before. Even them, they're taking out flags on their cars, they're talking about it everywhere they go, free Gaza, free Palestine, so it's great, you know.
Growing up, I used to support the Labour Party, but when David Cameron came up for election, I did vote Conservatives. But now it's at a stage where politics is a complete mess. The situation in Gaza, nobody's speaking up for it. Where's the rights of the Palestinians to defend themselves?
According to a poll by Salvation and the Labour Muslim Network, there's been a drop in support for Labour among British Muslims. When asked at the last election, 86% said they'd vote Labour. When asked how they'd currently vote, only 43% said they'd definitely vote Labour again, while 23% were undecided. The Labour Party told us Parliament voted for Labour's motion calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and the release of all hostages. Back in Bradford, I put their statement to Taj. Isn't that enough?
I don't think so.
How come?
I don't think so. I think it's too late now. I think it's far, far, far too late. You know, 30,000 people, you know, losing their lives.
Too late for Taj, but he intends to keep working for his community, representing Little Horton, even if he no longer represents Labour.
Charanpreet, Labour in the spotlight there for Taj Salam, but this week the Conservatives have been accused of Islamophobia, haven't they?
That's right, Sally, and this is a row that all started with Lee Anderson, the MP for Ashfield, an MP who certainly isn't afraid of being in the spotlight himself. About a week ago, he made comments on GB News where he said that the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, was being controlled by Islamists. He refused to apologise for those comments, and last week he had the whip removed. He was suspended from the Conservative Party. But subsequently, the refusal of any senior Conservatives to actually say that his comments were Islamophobic has prompted some people to say that it's the party itself with a problem. Now, Rishi Sunak was keen to deny that at Prime Minister's questions yesterday.
This is the party that delivered the first Jewish Prime Minister, the first female Prime Minister, the first black Chancellor, the first Muslim Home Secretary, and now led by the first British Asian Prime Minister.
Charanpreet, was that message landing with the people you spoke to?
To be honest, Sally, it really wasn't. Now, there's a huge disconnect between what you saw there at Prime Minister's questions, this whole Westminster bubble, and the people that I spoke to at that snooker hall and on those doorsteps. Now, the resounding feeling that I got from people was that they were just absolutely fed up with both political parties. Now, there's no doubt that there's a resounding strength of feeling when it comes to Israel and Gaza, but in some cases, this went a little bit beyond that. You heard Taj Salam in my piece there saying that that's been the icing on the cake that has made people lose faith in politics. But the thing that I heard from people was that they just see the political system as being far, far removed from the things that they care about and the things that affect them on a day-to-day basis. Now, with a general election coming up this year, there's absolutely no doubt that that level of political apathy will continue to have an enduring impact.
Charanpreet Khera in Westminster, thank you.
And just to remind you, local council elections across the country take part on Thursday, May the 2nd, and you'll need to take your ID with you.